Would we do it if we actually realised each of us is throwing away 145 kilos of nutritious sustenance per year? 20% of all the food we buy, we chuck. And for some inexplicable reason, that amount is rising.
Planet Ark founder and passionate environmentalist John Dee has just helped to launch a campaign to stop the waste. Last year alone, Second Bite collected 132 tonnes of fresh food that was destined for the bin and turned it into hearty meals for the homeless and the needy. John and Second Bite's Katy Barfield join us now. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
This is the perfect way to avoid the effect of petrol prices, isn't it?
Well, you
Buy
think
less
about
and
it,
waste less.
everybody's worried. Petrol prices are going up, household budget prices, you know, the household budget is getting stretched, mortgages going up. I mean, everyone is rightly getting very worried about that. Yet we don't think twice about going to the supermarket, buying all this food, a lot of which we don't need, and the equivalent of all this is buying 5 grocery bags full of shopping, coming home, and then throwing one straight in the bin. Now, no family out there can afford that, and yet that is exactly what we're doing every year.
The issue here seems to me, because we were horrified when we heard these statistics, is you don't even know really that you're doing it. So how do you recognise that you are, and how do you stop yourself from doing it?
Well, look, a good way to do it is over the course of a week, actually just make a note of all the food that you're throwing out, and you'll be horrified, you know, because people often think just about the packaging, but the food itself has a far bigger environmental impact for a couple of reasons. Getting food from the paddock to your plate takes up a lot of resources, a lot of energy, a lot of water. You know, a kilogram of beef, for example, that'll take about 50,000 litres of water to breed that. So if you throw out a kilogram of beef, you're throwing out 50,000 litres of water and all the energy it took. So one of the key things to think about is, OK, well, what can I do to reduce that? So one of the simplest things to do is make sure that you prepare in advance for a whole week, you know, about what are you going to be buying, so we avoid the 145 kilograms of waste that, you know, we're each responsible for throwing away. Write a shopping list, and then at the end of the day, use Tupperware. I mean, my grandmother used to use Tupperware all the time. You know, she'd cook 2 meals.
Yep.
Put one in Tupperware, put it in the freezer, and that way she always had a spare meal there, and if she had any leftovers from the food, she'd put it in with it.
Make it soup, exactly. Look, I want to talk to you about Second Bite, Katy, because so often you will see restaurants throwing out food and you see food at the market just being tipped into bins. I mean, it just does your head in. It's staggering, but you're actually doing something about it.
Yeah, well, it's a really simple solution, actually, to what appears to be a complex problem, but it isn't at all. I mean, basically what Second Bite does is we go to markets, direct to growers that are going to plough stuff back into the fields because it's not actually the quality that some of the major retailers are looking for. And we collect that between 20 and 30 tonnes a month, and we redistribute it to about 65 different agencies that provide immediate food relief for people, and also thousands of families in need.
But
it's not leftover takeaway food. It's good.
Raw,
yeah.
Oh, this is top quality. It's absolutely top quality, nutritious. We focus on nutritious food. We don't want to give people junk.
See, that's staggering that you can actually go out and find top quality nutritious food that's been thrown out.
It might have a bruise because the supermarkets don't like to see
spot on it. I mean, we just had a ton of apples come in yesterday, OK, and they were discarded by a well-known retailer. They weren't good enough. They were rejected at the farm. We've picked them up. They're sitting in our quorums. They'll go out to 65 different agencies. And I'm talking these might have a tiny spot or slightly the wrong shape.
That's offensive. That's just an offensive waste of food.
Well, you know, that's what's great about what Food Bank and Second Bite and others are doing, is actually getting really good quality food and making sure it goes where it's really needed most, because the 3 million tonnes of food that we throw out every single year is costing us about $5 billion. $5 billion that Australians are spending on food that we throw away. And one of the key problems of that is that when you throw away that rotten food, it goes to landfill. The methane gas that comes off that is 20 times more potent a greenhouse gas than the carbon pollution coming out of your car exhaust. So that's kind of put it in perspective.
Very topical at the moment.
I was just about to say, if you look at Cranbourne, and you know, there have got families that are actually threatened with evacuation from their homes because of the lethal methane in the landfill that's 100 metres up the road. And interestingly enough, some of these new estates are actually being mapped as food deserts because they're so limited in their access to fresh, nutritious food. So that bridge, you know, we're trying to bridge the gap between surplus and need.
Look, how needy is the call for food?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, Last year, and this is the families that could actually admit it, there were 312,000 families in Victoria alone that ran out of food at some point in 2007. That's not enough food to put on the table for their family at some point in the year. And on top of that, you've got 27,000 people in Victoria alone who are homeless, 100,000 nationwide. And that's people that don't have regular access to fresh, nutritious food.
100,000 people around the country.
Yep.
Who don't have regular food, who don't have access to regular food.
People that are homeless, actually registered as homeless.
And that's what's amazing. I mean, people
That's
don't realise
what we know
that.
about.
You know,
That's
so
what we
we're
know
throwing
about.
away so much
offensive.
food.
It is offensive.
And that's why it's important that people actually start to change their behaviour. We've done it with plastic bags. You know, we've all gone to green bags. And so one of the things that I've been doing with Notebook magazine is over the next 12 months is giving people simple tips on how to change their behaviour. You know, so when it comes to, you know, like freezing and storing the food in Tupperware, like we talked about before, you know, the way you go out...
I'm mad for that. I live my life like this.
You know, the way you shop, the way that if you've got more of one food than another, well, how do you then, you know, cook that and how do you prepare things? So that's what we're going to do with Notebook over the next 12 months. Is give people really simple, practical advice that will help to save the money, because that's the key issue here. It's like, you know, when you're throwing away food, you're throwing away money. So the great thing is if you do save food, you're saving your wallet at the same time.
Katy, I want to take you up on that. I mean, I was horrified when you spoke about food deserts before. I mean, there's a bigger issue here, isn't it? Because all of these satellite cities that we're building, if we're creating a food desert where it's difficult for them to get access to fresh produce...
That's right.
I mean, what does that say about our future?
Well, I mean, it looks pretty bleak, and especially with an economic downturn. You know, we're going to see more demand on our services. So I would encourage any farmers, any growers, any large retailers that have got surplus to contact us, because we can come and pick that food up immediately. We collect it in refrigerated vans. We've got impeccable food handling standards. We've got cool rooms on site. We can do it. We've got the families that need the food. So get in contact, and we can actually move that food.
And you're so right. When it hits the hip pocket, that's when we start to see this shift, isn't it? We've got to make this shift now, and if we realise the impact it has on the hip pocket, then the shift will occur.
Well, look, at the end of the day, it's very, very simple. If you're more disciplined in how you shop, so you plan for the week ahead, you write your shopping list, and be disciplined in that, and only buy what you really need, and then you're going to reduce the amount of food that you waste. And as I said, you save food and you save your wallet at the same time.
And you know what? Cooking one meal for the family. How often does it happen in a family when one child won't eat that and someone else wants this, and you end up kind of cooking for everyone? You need to cook one meal for everyone and make
Be firm with the...
Be firm,
Absolutely. And, you know, with food and vegetables, if it starts to wilt, a very simple tip, put it in a soup. Soup can be frozen and it tastes great, you know, a week later after you've frozen it.
Just quickly, John, you mentioned plastic bags. Are we getting... governments are dragging their feet on this. Are we managing to get some results anyway?
Well, the great news, South Australia is going to be banning plastic bags from January of early next year. Victoria has just started trialling levies on plastic bags. And the good news is people like Bunnings and IKEA, they've now totally got rid of plastic bags by charging 10 cents each for them. So we are getting there.
Congratulations to South Australia for leading the way there. Well done. Thank you. Good to talk to you both.
Great to see you. Thank you.
And if you've got food, excess food that you'd like to give away to Second Bite, we'll have all the details on our website as well. Thank you. Back after this.